Hey everybody, it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini. Welcome to episode number 140 of WIP Wednesday. The WIP in WIP Wednesday stands for Works in Progress, and this is my weekly live show where I'm usually doing some type of a demo, answering pre-submitted questions, sharing some crafty something with y'all, because you know I like to dabble in all the things. So welcome if you're new to the WIP Wednesday episodes, whether you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure that you give the video a thumbs up if you pick up some tips today or you enjoy the episode. Okay, let's pop into the chat real quick. Make sure everybody can see me and hear me just to make sure that all the technology stuff is working today. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Hi, Wendy. Awesome. Hi, Heather, tuning in from England. Let's see. We got Kathy in the house from Long Beach. We got Zorina. Hi, welcome to the live. We got Barbara from Orange Park, Florida, and Carla from Kansas City, Missouri. Hey there. And I'm coming to y'all from my home crafting studio where we live here in North Central Florida. Hi, Ramona. Hi, Deborah, tuning in. We got a lot of Florida neighbors popping in. Michelle says, I love your earrings. Thank you, Miss Cotton. I don't even remember where I got these, but they're cute. They're a little heavy because they're like acrylic and it's like pink and blue acrylic, but they're cool and they're funky. So I like all the things, right? Bright colors, funky, cool, different. That's my jam. All right. Oh, wow. We got Mari in the house tuning in from South Wales. Hello, friend, from across the huge ocean. Hi, Lynette tuning in. Hey, Peggy from Washington State. We got another Wendy in the house from Australia. Okay. Hola, Diana. Okay, so we're going to get started. What I've decided to do in terms of how I'm going to break down the stuff I'm going to chat about on today's episode is that we're going to jump right into the demo first so that we can give our products, the Odie Coat and Mod Podge, some time to dry while I share a few other different things with y'all. Okay, so if you don't mind, that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and give everybody my over-the-shoulder camera shot so we can jump right into our demo. Now, some of y'all know that we run a nonprofit and we do a lot of community service work. Now, one of those things is a monthly arts and crafts class that I do for local senior citizens. So I try to keep the project super simple, right? And this is what we did this past week. It's always on the fourth Thursday of the month. So that was last Thursday. And I brought some different fabric scraps. We all have fabric scraps. And then the ladies got to choose what fabric they wanted to use on top of their wooden rounds. And we made fabric covered wooden coasters. Everybody loved it. They turned out super cute and they were all so different. Some people chose to go a little bit more neutral with black and white, right, to match some of their decor depending on where they plan to use them. Y'all know I love my colors, so I went ahead and had whipped up this sample here of this art gallery print that if you bought some of my half-yard fabric bundles from last year, you probably got some of this fabric in your stash. And I think we did some kits for this, maybe for our bag retreats that we had last year. I think some people maybe got fabric of this because I had some left over in my stash, but a super cool print. Aren't these super fun? So I went ahead and included my Amazon affiliate link for the rounds that I used. Obviously, there's going to be a ton of sellers on Amazon selling these if that's where you choose to purchase yours. If you have a handy family member who can cut you up your own 4-inch diameter wood rounds, I was actually really impressed with these because they're not sharp or you know, it's like super smooth around the edges here, all the way, everywhere around. So I didn't have to do any extra sanding or anything before I used it in the craft class. So I was really happy with these. They are 4 inches in diameter and they're about 1/3 of an inch thick. So that would be maybe, I want to say maybe like 3/8 of an inch is what it kind of looks like to me. I think it's at like 0.3 something. So yeah, about 3/8 of an inch thick. And so I think they're a great size. Now, one thing that I did like was, one, it was super affordable to get a bunch of these. And I never know how many students I'm going to have in the class, usually between 10 and 15 or something. And so it came with 32 rounds plus the little black dots. They're just like little stickers. You peel it off of here, you stick it to the bottom of the coaster. I just handed out one little square to each person per coaster. Everybody made a pair. Some people chose to make different fabrics, and some people, you know, the majority of the ladies chose to make matching pairs, like a little coaster pair. So I just gave them, you need 4 of them like this per coaster. And they already come with it. So all I had to do was provide the fabric, a couple of spatulas, some little cups like this. We had Mod Podge. And so I wanted to share with y'all some tips that I learned from doing this project using both products, Odie Coat and the Mod Podge. Now the Mod Podge that I have here is not like fabric specific or waterproof. I know they have a bunch of different types, but this is I got it at the dollar store, these little 2-ounce bottles at the dollar store, I think a Dollar Tree. And Mod Podge, I just got the matte finish. And it's just a water-based glue sealer and a finish. So it should work perfectly fine for this, and it did. So I used Odie Coat for these, but the ones that we did in the craft class, most everybody used Mod Podge. Okay, so I want to do 1 and 1 today, and we'll do 1 of each, and I'll share with you some of my tips as we go along. But of course, we need to let them dry some. So really cute. Nice. Now I'm going to share with you some tips as we go through and make this to get really nice clean edges. You can see that I don't have any little bits of fraying fabric or thread or anything like that. And so what I prefer to do is not to pre-cut the circle out for these guys. I know that when I did the little video reel where I shared how I use fabric and Odie Coat to cover a big wooden table, I did flip the table upside down onto the fabric to cut. Like I traced it around and then I cut exactly on the line. But I find that for these, it just is easier to cut a slightly bigger piece. And I'll show you. Let's do it right now. I'm going to put some Mod Podge into this little cup just so it's easier for me to grab. I find that from the Odie Coats, and this product, I have another WIP Wednesday episode. You may want to go back a couple episodes. I can't remember what number, but I did talk about this and we did a demo where I used it on fabric and we pressed it dry. So you can pre-prep fabric with the Odie Coat. This is a gel coating that basically makes your fabric waterproof and stain resistant, and it gives it like an oilcloth effect. It also says on here that the more coats of this you use, because you can use multiple coats, the glossier the finish. If you just use 1 layer, it has more of like a satin finish, which I liked, okay? Which you can kind of see the effect. And I'm going to zoom into this just so I can kind of show y'all a little bit. Look at that. You see how there's like a little bit of sheen to it, but it's not glossy glossy. I love it. I love, love, love the way it turned out. Okay, so let's go ahead and prep this. So you're going to be using, whether you use Odie Coat or the Mod Podge, okay, you're going to use the product as the adhesive to stick the fabric down and as the sealant on top. So it's easy because you don't need multiple products. But I did want to share this because if you can get your hand on this gel coating, you know, the dollar store, you can find this at any craft store as well, the Mod Podge, that is. Okay, so I have just a little piece of parchment paper. If you have a silicone mat, that works better. Just put it down here. Okay, let's do 1 and 1. And you know, another thing about this is that they were super flat. So I didn't have any that were like bowing or anything like that. So I was really happy with that. The entire box of 32 came really good. And I did go ahead and put my Amazon affiliate link for y'all in the caption if you're watching us on Facebook. And it's in the video description box if you want to get some of these rounds to make your own coasters at home. It's also in the video description box on YouTube. Okay? Hi, Maureen. She says, this is a great episode for me. I'm working on something similar, but ornaments instead of coasters. That sounds perfect. Sounds awesome. And these types of episodes and like little demos also help give you ideas, right? That's how I got the idea to do the drink coasters, because I was thinking, hey, I think the Odie Coat would be something cool. Everybody in the class can pick out a fabric that they like, but not to cover a whole table like I had just done. And then I thought, I'm sure I can find some little rounds to do drink coasters. And sure enough, apparently everybody's been doing it. So yeah. So the Odie Coat, one thing that I will say kind of as I go back and forth between the two products is that you barely need any of this. So yes, it is way pricier than, you know, a little $1 2-ounce bottle of Mod Podge. But man, I did a whole table. I did a fabric. I've done multiple fabric pieces. I did my coasters, and this thing is practically still full, the same, you know, because it wasn't filled to the top, obviously, when I got it. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to do Odie Coat on this side in front of this, and we'll do Mod Podge on this side in front of this, okay? So what you do need is something to spread it on. Some people use paintbrushes. I really like these little, not plastic, but silicone spatulas. This is one that I bought off of a big pack because I needed enough for all the students in the class. I've bought them on Amazon. But then this one is from the dollar store. It's like supposed to be for like putting on face masks or something. I don't know. But you can look for it in the beauty area. You probably will find them, okay? A little silicone spatula. So this is the one I usually use with that, and so we'll use this one here. So first, hold on, before I start putting this stuff on the wood and then it starts to dry out on me, because when we add the fabric, we definitely want it to still be wet since we're going to use the first coat of it as our adhesive. So I have a little strip here of this fun math fabric, and I'll show you what I made with this later in today's episode because we do have a new video tutorial that is scheduled to go live tomorrow on my YouTube channel. So I'll share with y'all a little sneak peek of what the project is. That way, if you're looking forward to making some back to school stuff, you're definitely going to want to check out that tutorial on my YouTube channel. And if you're not already subscribed, to my YouTube channel, check us out at TheCraftyGemini, all together one word. You can find me on YouTube and make sure to subscribe so you'll get notifications too. Hit the little bell icon and that way we'll send you, well, not we, but YouTube, our friends at YouTube will send you notifications every time I post a new video and also when I'm live, like on these episodes, okay? What I recommend, if you're using 4-inch diameter rounds to make your wooden coasters, is to cut your fabric at least to 4.5 inches. So if you have 4.5 inches, and this strip is 4.5 inches, so it's gonna work out perfectly, you can see. I have just a little bit of overhang. If I kind of scoot it over, I'll have a little bit of overhang on each side. So let's cut this just a little bit bigger, like that, okay? And then for this one, same thing. Just cut it a little bit bigger. If you're wanting to fussy cut a motif or an item or an emblem or a school logo or a team logo or something like that from some licensed fabrics, then you're gonna wanna position it to get it exactly right. If you have stripology rulers or you have a ruler that's clear that you can kind of center the design, then you can center it at 2 inches up and down, right? And 2 inches this way, which will be the halfway point of the 4-inch diameter. And then that will help you better align it centered, all right? So we're gonna go with this and this. And now that I have my fabric cut for each, let's go ahead and add the stuff to it. So we're gonna go with the Odie coat first. And I want y'all to see how barely any of this stuff I need to use on here. Let me try to get a little closer. Hopefully this will give y'all a little visual of the product itself and the consistency. You see how kind of like globby it is? I'm just going to stir it around a little. I don't think it really matters because I never see it like separate or anything like that, but okay. So now, literally with what I have on the spatula is probably plenty, and that's why I'm taking some of it off. Okay? You don't really need much. This is probably way too much already. And like that little bit is probably way too much. So we'll try it. So you're just going to put it on here and smooth it out. The key is going to be to get it as smooth as possible. Obviously, it goes on smoother if you go with the grain of the wood. But see, every time I get like a little pebble of it that pops off, I smooth it out because I don't want any little nuggets sticking up on here. Okay, and what I'm really trying to focus on is getting it all the way to the edge, because on the edge, after you cut, after we put the fabric and we seal it on top, that's usually where you see that it's going to be the most uneven, okay? And I just dipped it back in there just to kind of coat it a little bit more to make sure I can reach the edge. I'm gonna pick it up, okay, so I can smooth out the side where my fingers were holding. But see, that's plenty. Like even as you smooth without picking up anything else, you can just move, okay? So that's that. As soon as it's on there, before it dries quick, stick this on, okay? You can even flip it over, give it a little pressure just to make sure it sticks all around the edges. And we're gonna set that aside. Just leave it right there to dry. So now, and actually I'm gonna close this up because I don't want this drying out. Okay, now we're gonna move to the Mod Podge. And I said the Mod Podge I had is the matte. Okay, just basic, like I said, from the dollar store. Dorothy's asking, great question, could you cut the circles with a scan and cut? Absolutely. The only thing for me is that I feel like I can get a little bit more precise like this, because unless you prep your fabric with something that's gonna stiffen it up, you know how it is to cut just plain woven fabric. You have to put it on the mat, stabilize it. If you're gonna use a Cricut, sometimes if you don't have the rotary blade, it won't cut right. So I feel like by the time you take out the machine and set it up and put into whatever the design software is, a 4-inch circle, and go to cut it out, you could have just done this, a rough cut around it, and once it's dry, cut it. But it's up to you, and you absolutely could. If you want to fussy cut a motif, like I mentioned earlier, from the fabric, and you really struggle to just kind of eyeball it or hand cut it yourself, then I think cutting it on one of your electric cutting machines would be perfect. So you saw what I did with the Mod Podge. You definitely need more of the Mod Podge than you do of the Odie coat. And this one is not going to go on quite as light as the Odie coat. You saw how that was clear. This, you see the white, and really by seeing the white Mod Podge is how I know that I have enough on here. What I have found is that if the Mod Podge is basically still pretty translucent and it's like barely any on there, by the time I get the fabric on there, it's almost like it dries too quick or it's not quite enough, okay? But notice we're just smoothing it with the spatula. And I find that the Mod Podge also doesn't have to be super smooth. Like I'm not just going to keep swiping on it. This kind of levels itself out once I put the fabric on there. You can kind of see how we have a couple little lines here. And you can hear the puppies. barking at each other in the background, wanting to play. All right, so this goes on because the Mod Podge is also thicker. I can feel it on this side of the fabric with my hands, whereas here there's no tackiness at all to it. It really just kind of sits underneath the fabric as an adhesive. So that's really kind of, and I'm trying to walk y'all through kind of like the comparisons between the two products, just so you know what to expect, you know, if you're trying one over the other, like, oh, I thought she said this, but that one doesn't. So this one, I can kind of feel it in the areas where there was a little bit more Mod Podge. It kind of comes through the fabric, which doesn't really matter, right? Because we're about to add another layer right on top, but I'm just smoothing it all out. I want to make sure it goes all the way to the outer edges. And don't worry if it kind of lifts up in the later step, like we'll check it as it goes drying. But if it does lift up, you can always just add a little bit more product, whether it's underneath the fabric or on top after we seal it, okay? So like right now, this is really good on there. And I didn't starch this fabric or do anything to it. So just keep that in mind, that I'm working with just like the plain old fabric. Yeah, this goes to the edge. I was wondering if I had scooted it too far over, but I have enough. So now we're going to go on top of the fabric, the exact same thing we did. So we'll start off with the Mod Podge since I have it already here. And I'm going to dip my little spatula in here and then smooth it on. Again, because the Mod Podge is white, okay, you're going to see it on top, which is fine. This also I find dries stiffer than the Eau de Coat. So for a project like this, that's kind of, you know, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect it. It's not like you want a drapey fabric or anything like that. So what I'm smoothing out here that I want y'all to pay attention to, because we cut the fabric a little bit bigger than the coaster, you definitely need to go all the way out to the edge, okay? And the edge, you can feel it. You can see where the round is. As you go like that with the spatula, when the fabric starts to drop off the side, then you know, okay, I've gone past the edge. You can absolutely also go beyond the edge because all that excess is just gonna get trimmed off. So I'd rather you be covering more area with the Mod Podge to make sure that all the way to the edge is, you know, has product on it, okay? So I'm just going like this. And notice how much more Mod Podge. You'll see when we go to do this one, how little Eau de Coat I use. So yes, it's a more expensive product, but it just, you know, works slightly differently. But for something like this type of a craft project, the end result's going to be about the same, okay? So I'm going all the way to the edge, and again, with the Mod Podge, I find that I just have to kind of keep going over and over it, making sure that the fabric is fully saturated with the product in order for it to go through the fabric and down into it. Another quick note, depending on the fabric that you're using, if your fabric has a white background like this, don't freak out. If you add either of these products to the top of the fabric and you start to see the wood, it's just because the fabric is wet and it's a whiter or lighter colored background. That applies mostly to the white fabrics, but if you're using something that's like a really, really pale yellow or pink or something, when you go like that and it's a white fabric, you'll start kind of to see the wood show through a little bit more. It's just because the fabric is wet. Once the product fully dries, you don't see it anymore. It goes back to just being white fabric or whatever. Okay, let's see. Sewing Home Goods, Mary says, how do you not age? I cannot wait to try this. Well, thank you. I definitely am aging. We all are, aren't we? All right, let's see. Okay. Janice says, I love this. I have the Eau de Coat and I covered a living room end table with fabric. It came out great. Janice, I remember seeing your picture. You used like a black or kind of silver, like charcoal-y color, like a geometric print. That thing turned out awesome. She posted it in one of our Facebook groups. So that was really, really cool. A great way to, you know, use up some fabric, cover up an end table that maybe has some dings and scratches and stuff on it, and just give it a whole nother life. All right, let's see. Well, who else? And make sure I'm not missing anything. Hi, Della. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Roberta. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so I'm going to go just quickly around the edge. And you saw that I had squeezed a good bit in here of the Mod Podge earlier. And so you probably, I mean, it takes, obviously, it's also going to take longer to dry because I'm putting a thicker amount on. But once you make a couple of these projects, if you go kind of a little bit shorthanded on some of it, you'll start to know like, oh, okay. Especially when you go from Eau de Coat to the Mod Podge, you're like, oh, I definitely need to add more Mod Podge to it, you know, for the next time. Or go ahead and add more layers, which is something you can absolutely do regardless of which product you're using. I just don't want to add too much. But I do want to come around here and come all the way to the edges. Now, be careful that when you're adding more like I am, that you don't actually pull it around the edge. So even when you come to the edge of where you feel the edge of that coaster, just kind of swipe it across, you know? It doesn't matter how it dries. If it dries thicker off the edge, that's fine. Like I said, that's going to be removed. That's the excess. And so the reason I have y'all do it like this, or I mean, you could do it however you want to. I'm just sharing what I found worked best when I did this in a class with almost 10 ladies, is that doing it like this and having a slightly larger piece of fabric, all this is going to dry. So when I go to cut it, the product, whether it's the Oatly coat or the Mod Podge, seals and goes through the fabric. So when you cut it, you can imagine that it's almost like if you applied fray check all around, because it's not going to fray since the product is sealing the fabric fibers together. So it makes a super clean edge and a clean cut. Okay, so that's the Mod Podge. We're going to set it aside. Let's go ahead and, since this has had plenty of time to dry, this is another way to check it, and you can do it with either product. After you give it a couple minutes, don't pull it off, obviously, because it's not fully set, but just go around the edges and make sure that it's not popping up. If it is, you definitely need to add more product underneath the fabric, because remember, at that step, we're using it as an adhesive. So see, here it went all the way to the edge, but here I can see that I didn't really go all the way to the edge. So that's what I mean. So let's go add a little dab underneath, and then we're going to go in with the Oatly coat on top. And again, a little bit is all you need. So I'm just going to add a little dab here. Still trying to keep it smooth, so I'm only like scraping it on there just enough so that that fabric sticks onto it. Okay, and now let's dab a little. You can kind of see how much I have on there. And we're just going to smooth it out. Now, because you're coating the fabric, of course, grab a little bit more, just like in smaller chunks. If you have fabric, and I was going to say this earlier, if you have fabric that has red in it, be careful that it doesn't run on you. But can you see how in the middle here where I've added the Oatly coat, you can kind of see some brown? It almost looks dirty. It's because of what I talked about earlier, that the white fabric is getting saturated with the product. You see that area of kind of yellowish brown right there? And that's just the wood shining through. So don't worry about it, okay? As it dries, it'll go back to being plain white. But if you're using a batik fabric, be very careful, especially if it's like a multicolored batik, because oftentimes those are so high in the dye, like the dye quantity that it has in the fabric, especially if you haven't pre-washed it like me, because if it's not for clothes, ain't nobody got time for that. Make sure that you're not smearing it onto other colors that are in there. So just be careful and try a little bit out if you're using a fabric that you think might have a lot of dye in it, okay? All right, so it's a little trickier to see on the busy fabrics like this to see if I have like a glob of this anywhere, but just keep swiping it and moving it. The product ends up having almost like a little, like a weird blue tinge to it. So that helps if you're using it on a plain white fabric or even like on a solid black fabric. That part of it helps you see the color a little bit more. But again, I need to just take my time, make sure that I keep this on a even coat. Okay, what I'm doing now is kind of scraping everything that I added on. You see how it's still back on here on my spatula? And then I'm going to come around the edges and do this. And the same thing, just keep scraping up, smoothing out around the edges until you can feel that it's gone all the way to the outer edge. I probably need a little bit more. And I just go little by little because like I said, the Oatly coat, you see me like dropping some of it off. I don't need much. I just wanted to kind of, I mean, it's barely anything. I don't even know how to explain it. But if you have the product and you play with it, you'll see. Yes, Amanda, great question. She says, do you start in the middle and work your way out? I do. Just because we're used to that, right? With everything that we do. When we quilt stuff, we start stitching in the middle and then out. And it just allows me to kind of get good long sweeps of the spatula too. Okay. If you see it mounded anywhere, again, scrape like just with the top edge of it like that till you get whatever excess is on there and just smush it onto the sides. You could also put like a glob on here, smooth it out, and then scrape all of it off and put it back in, but whatever. I'd rather do little bits at a time. But now you can fully see the brown of the wood sticking through. Yes? You see how on the edge it's still like white, and here it's all like yellow, like a brown color? That's what I mean, okay? Let me go around the edge over here a little bit more. Let me see if I'm missing. Patrice is asking, does this work on metal? Looking to cover up a scratched up, ugly gray file cabinet. Actually, the Oatly coat says that it does. So on the back of this thing, it says, let me read it to you. Protect your projects or fabric accessories. When dry, the coated surface is resistant to water and stains. May also be used as a strong adhesive for fabric or fabrics applied to wood, cardboard, metal, glass, ceramic, pottery, styrofoam, stone, etc. Yeah. It's worth it. Grab one little jug of that and you'll, once you use it on something, you're going to be like, now I know how to bust through my fabric stash. Forget about sewing. Let's cover everything in fabric. It's also a great way to kind of add a little fabric element to something that's not sewn. Kind of like this, right? If you need to make a bunch of different little gifts, like a dozen gifts, you know, we don't all have time to make 12 zippered pouches or wine bags or whatever you want to make, but you definitely have the fabric to do something like this. And if you're a collector of novelty prints, you can really go to town embellishing little boxes and little trinket things and whatever little blank wood items you find at the craft stores, or maybe that you have lying around, right? That you can cover up the edges using this technique and cover it up with fabric. But this is great for kids too, for crafts. They can, you can use fabric markers on plain white fabric and have them make gifts for their teachers, or like a little Mother's Day craft project, Father's Day craft project. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do with this. Okay. And I'm just making sure that this is fully saturated. This is actually kind of relaxing. I know it looks like it's taking a long time, but it's really, if you just sat here and did 4 of them at a time, it would take you no time. I just want to make sure that everything is smooth. Don't leave, like you see how I just swiped a bunch on there? Like don't just leave that mounded up on top there, because it will dry there and then your coaster ain't gonna be flat, okay? All right, I think that's okay for now. I'm gonna let that dry, and see, I even still had some on my spatula. We're gonna leave that there. We got Odie Coat, we got Mod Podge. Okay, we're just gonna slide them off of our work table. And as we give that a couple minutes to dry, I'm gonna talk to y'all about some other stuff, okay? Just the other couple things that I had to mention here, and we'll check back into these guys in a minute. Okay, yay, Patrice says, yay, just added it to my Amazon cart. Yeah, I mean, it's great to have on hand, trust me. Like, when you have it, then you're gonna be like, oh wait, I can cover this. Let me just do that. Let me wrap this around here. And don't think or don't worry too much about having raw edges exposed, because if you put this stuff on the fabric, on whatever you're using to cover with fabric, if it's along the edge, it's not gonna fray. It's just gonna stay there sealed, okay? Barb is asking, hi Vanessa, will this dry matte or glossy? So this one dries in a satin finish, okay, like this. Can you kind of see that? But the more coats you use, or the more coats you do, will give it a glossy finish, okay? So if you do want to go for a glossy effect, because it has some sheen to it. I wouldn't say gloss, but it has some sheen to it, like a satin finish is what it said on here. Let me see. I can't remember where I read it. Somewhere that it said, okay, here. For optimum protection, when dry, additional coats may be applied. Application of additional layers will result in a higher gloss effect. So the glossier you want it, just do some more layers on it. But see, I kind of like that. It's just like sheen. I don't want my coasters especially to be super glossy, because then if they're kind of like, you know how glossy stuff sometimes is like tacky to the touch? You don't want to put your drink on there and then when they pick it up, this comes up with it, okay? One, don't give them out or use them when it's still wet. That will happen. But two, I don't know yet to speak on it, because I haven't done like a ton of coats, but I kind of like the way that it finished, you know? And it's already, like we said, water resistant and stain proof. So hope that helps. We'll let that dry. Let me just touch on a couple other things. A quick update. We started our organizer club second edition last week. So the first project, for those of you that signed up, the first project was already posted as scheduled. Remember to download your club calendar so you can check out the classes. We are making, or some of us have already made, I'm back. Some of us have already made them, but we have 2 sizes of my little easy storage pods. And this was the set that I filmed in that video course, so we already have that. If you're already signed up for the Organizer Club, then make sure that you log in, because you already have access to the PDF instructions, as well as, I think there's 8 video lessons. I think there's 8 video, step-by-step video lessons. And go ahead and watch them if you haven't yet, because we have a live question and answer session only for the Organizer Club students this Saturday evening, and I'll be live answering y'all's questions that you pre-submit. There's a form on the live Q&A page where you can submit any questions you have, and I'll go over those on Saturday. So I just wanted to give a heads up, because I know not everybody gets the emails and not everybody has time, but if you paid for it, You got access to the first class. The second one goes up next Monday, okay? So, thank you. Winless Originals is in the club. She says, I love the pattern. It's so simple and cute. And Brianna says, I've already made 6. That's amazing. Awesome, awesome. For those of you that missed out, you cannot sign up for the Organizer Club anymore. The doors are closed. We will reopen it in October, but it will be at the regular price, okay? Whenever I come out with a new online course or a new club, we offer it at the lowest price it's ever going to be. So if you sign up for our email newsletter, or you're on here with us on WIP Wednesdays, you catch me talking live, or you hear me say something, hey, the sale price ends this day, trust that the sale price is going to end that day. And if you decide to sign up later, or you forget, or you didn't check your email or whatever, it's too late to get in on that price. But if you like the projects, they will also be available individually as standalone video courses, like we sell our other 100+ classes. But the club itself will be back to, regular price when we reopen it, okay? So if you missed out, apologies, but make sure to be on my email newsletter. That is the best way to get, to stay in touch with everything we have Crafty Gemini. Absolutely the best way. Okay. Barb is asking about the wooden discs for these drink coaster demo that we're doing here. I put my Amazon affiliate link in the caption on Facebook, and it looks like you're watching us on YouTube, Barb, so you can find it in the video description box of this live video, okay? All right, so those are drying. So I just wanted to give y'all a heads up that if you haven't logged in and you signed up for the club, that video course is up there as scheduled. The second thing I have is to let y'all know that we are running a course flash sale on my Zip Pocket Notebook. This is probably one of our most popular projects that I released last year in Mini Bag Club 3. So if you signed up last year for that club, Mini Bag Club number 3, then you already have access to this video course, because this was one of the 5 projects that we made there. I know sometimes when I do a course, a flash sale, people are like, wait, was this in a club that I already have? So that's why I'm letting y'all know. If you signed up for Mini Bag Club 3 last year, then you already have access to this course. So let me walk y'all through, because I know we're coming up on all the back to school stuff. This is a fabric notebook that features some quilting elements, simple straight stitching for the most part. The only curved thing is the strap here that has a snap. The closure is a snap closure, okay? I use cam snaps because it's super easy to do, right? And they hold up for like 10,000 snaps on and off, so you won't have issues there. When you open it up, there are 2 mesh pockets. There is one on this side, and you can, of course, choose the color of the mesh fabric that you want to use here. I saw some of my students made this with clear vinyl, so you could do that too if you prefer. This helps to kind of keep the bulk of the layers down, since we have layers here and everything then needs to be bound at the end. The mesh fabric is really thin and makes it really easy to work with here. We have a zipper here, just using number 3 craft zippers, so real easy for that one pocket. The other side, we have another mesh pocket. I just went ahead and, some markers and pencils. So this is great really for students, teachers, coaches, any staff member, anybody who wants to kind of keep some things organized. You don't have to just put pencils and markers in these pockets. You can see how big they are. You can put notepads in here, markers, scissors. I know some of the ladies in my classes have been using these as their sewing notebook. So they have patterns and notes and things, and they put some of their scissors, some post-it notes, and a couple different little items here as they're making notes in their patterns and projects in the mesh pockets. Okay, so we have 2 zippered mesh pockets, and then underneath each mesh pocket you have an area here for you to slide in paper or notebooks or whatever. I have a notebook here in mine. Okay, so you have these 2 pockets. Everything is fully lined. Okay, there's no raw edges. Everything is fully finished, and it just is a super duper handy little project, y'all. If you're looking for a gift for anyone, I know some of y'all are always like, do you have any projects for guys? I'm gonna tell y'all right now. This dirty little basketball one here that I made for my husband gets a ton of use, okay? This also is all fabric, so you can just pop it in the wash, y'all. Pop it in the washing machine, in the dryer, take it out, good to go. Don't worry about the snap, because if you just set it at regular heat from the dryer, it's not going to melt it unless you actually apply, fire and heat to the plastic here. It's not going to melt. So he has all his stuff here because he runs, he's the president of a board that runs recreational sports. So he has all his meetings, all his paperwork in here, different receipts, there's notepads, there's paperwork, there's all kind of stuff in here, and he uses this thing all the time. Okay, so again, 2 zippered pockets and then 2 big slip pockets underneath. And then notice how he has these sheets in here with the agenda. You can also put handouts and things for teachers right in there. So it's almost like you have another compartment, because when you close it with the snap, it fully closes up. Okay, and again, because it's fabric, just take all the stuff out, throw it in the wash, and you can, keep using it and have it ready to go. Okay, let's see. Thank you. Kathy says she's made 6 of the notebooks, and Janet says she loves the notebook. So that class, what I was going to say is that this class is on a flash sale right now this week. So if you're watching us live, then you can get $10 off this course. If you're watching us at a later date, beyond Sunday, August the 4th, this coming Sunday, August 4th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, it goes back to the regular price. So if you want to save 10 bucks and get busy working on this project this week, definitely check out the link. Again, it's in the caption on Facebook and in the video description box right here on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. They're great gifts, and for those of you that are always looking for like little commission projects that are pretty easy to make, but you could sell them for a good amount, this is another great one to use. Okay, it doesn't use that much fabric, and then of course we attach quilt binding around the outer edges. I know a lot of my students don't bother with the hand sewing, so you can machine stitch the binding on as well, and that makes the project a little bit quicker even to finish. All right, so that class is on sale. Janice says I've made several, and the one for my husband gets used several times a week for his golf tournaments. That's awesome. Yeah, and Heather says she's been meaning to make another one of those. And Deborah says I travel a lot, and it's great for keeping all my travel documents. She's made 6 of them. That is awesome. Yes, Margie, they are perfect for back to school. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Kathy says she's made 6 of those notebooks for her Stamping Up group, and they love them. See, crafters, I'm telling you, anybody who wants to stay organized, if you have a journal, an agenda, like all that kind of stuff where you just want to keep it all together in one place, a great, great project. So I'm glad that those of you that are in that course are definitely enjoying it, and those of you that want to sign up for it can save 10 bucks using the link in the description box below. The name of that project, in case you're on my website and want to look, is the Zip Pocket Notebook. Okay, that's what that project is called. Casey says, awesome notebook, great gift for my granddaughters and my daughters. Heck, great gift for everyone. I agree. That's how I designed it. Great gift for everyone. Okay. All right, so that is that. So that is on sale until this coming Sunday. What else do I have here? Oh, this stuff is almost dry. Let's talk about my upcoming tutorial. I did a little poll on my Facebook page recently asking y'all what types of projects you'd like to see me work on for video tutorials, like the freebie video tutorials that we do on YouTube. And of course, y'all said small bags and pouches. So we have put together another tutorial. I'm finishing up the voiceover, so it'll probably post to my YouTube channel tomorrow. And this is my slim line zippered pouch. Let me drink some water. Slimline zippered pouch. It's a little boxy one. Super simple to make. If you made my most recent boxy pouches from last year, then you probably already know the techniques. All you really need are the dimensions then, right? I only added 1 loop to this, so kids can either loop it to their backpack with any of those clasps, but it also comes in handy for holding when you go to unzip it here. So I shared another picture featuring this fabric, the space or galaxy fabric, and then that math fabric on the inside, and I had y'all guess on Facebook what type of project you thought I was working on, and a lot of you said something for school. And you were right if that was one of your guesses, and it's just this little pencil pouch. So I think this one's going to come in handy if you're putting together some back to school gifts for your loved ones, or you have students that are going back to school, or teachers. This is going to be a great one to check out. This is the one that I make in the video tutorial. Super fun, handy, quick and easy, y'all. You don't have to worry about the ends here when we talk about zippered pouches. I know oftentimes those of you that are either still intimidated by zippers, or those who have made some zippered pouches but are never happy with how the ends of the zippers look, you don't have to worry about that. There's no zipper tab ends. The whole construction technique features nothing but finished everything. There are no raw edges inside, okay? So everything is fully finished, and the zipper goes on. All you need to know how to do is sew straight. So definitely check out this tutorial. It will be live on my YouTube channel tomorrow. Here's another one I did. I think this one is so cute. My daughter says it's too busy, but I thought she would like it because she's all into the pinks and navies. But if she doesn't want it, I don't care because I will keep it for myself. Look how cute this is. I use a light gray background or lining fabric here, and I used a metal zipper, y'all, a metal zipper. So those of you that maybe have metal zippers on hand and you're always like a little bit hesitant to use it in your projects because you don't know if it's the right measurement, you don't want to have to sew over metal, which, can be a little dicey sometimes. You don't want to wreck your machine. This one, I'll let you know, if you have a 9-inch metal zipper, it works out great because you end up having excess zipper tape. I mean, you do have a little hole here where there's nothing connecting it, but nothing's going to fall out of there, right? And that way you don't run the risk of getting anywhere near the metal there. So just sharing a couple tips with y'all because I don't show you the metal one in the video. This is the first sample. The one that I show you in the tutorial is the one with the craft zipper because that's what most people have, okay? But for those of you that have metal zippers, a 9-inch metal zipper or even a 10-inch zipper is going to be plenty for this one so that you stay away from having to either remove metal teeth or cut it, okay? So be on the lookout for that tutorial and share with your friends or start picking out your fabrics and your zipper combos so that when that video goes live on the Crafty Gemini YouTube channel, you can check it out and start making it, okay? Janet's asking if we have the Galaxy and the math fabric to purchase. We're actually out. This is just fabric from my stash at this point when I'm making these types of projects and tutorials. We had that math fabric last year. We sold out. I think we did a spring sale this year and we sold the remaining bit that we had. And then that Galaxy fabric is from my stash. That's like a Timeless Treasures print from, I don't know, 2016 or 2017. So I don't. Apologies for that. Okay. Let's see. Yes, Della says that's a nice project to go with the notebook for back to school. I absolutely agree. If you're looking for other zipper pouch projects, I also have those on my YouTube channel. Just do a quick search on YouTube for Crafty Gemini zipper pouch and dozens are going to show up for you. Different shapes, different dimensions, different zipper installation techniques that you can check it out. Okay, let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Yes, thank you, Maureen. She says, hello all. Don't forget to give Vanessa a thumbs up just below the video. If you enjoyed the demo, if you're enjoying it so far, you got some good tips, definitely go ahead and give us a thumbs up here on Facebook or on YouTube. Now we're going to move on back to this demo. Let's check this stuff. If you can put it under like a fan or something, it's going to help it dry a little bit quicker. I can see already that the Mod Podge, I still have it wet here because it's still white. Can you see that glob right there? So that's kind of still there, but I can probably get away with, and I can feel this is stiffer on the Mod Podge. This one doesn't feel quite as stiff. It's not quite as tacky, so we're going to try it. What I like to do at this point is check it, you know, make sure that everything is stuck around the sides. And I think I should be good all the way there. We're going to flip it down this way. The most important thing, and the one thing that you need to remember when you go to do this, is to only stay on the fabric. Don't run your scissors up onto the wood. That's going to be the trickiest part, I think, of maintaining it. But once the product is dry, I'm just going right along the edge. I mean, it's so easy because you're just cutting along the fabric. And make sure, obviously, that the product is not wet, because if it is, then you're going to be gumming up your scissors. But I had to help some of the ladies cut theirs last week because, you know, it can be a little tricky to see. Just make sure you have sharp scissors. And if you're just staying on the fabric, then it should be easy peasy. And I like to do it from underneath, like from the underside of what will be the finished coaster, because that way you can see any little bit of fabric that's sticking out beyond the wood. So sometimes I'll kind of go like this and make sure that I'm not missing any little spots. You don't have to use huge shears like I'm using here. You can use little scissors, something like this. Okay. Dory says, if we used larger wooden circles or squares, do you think they would work as hot pads for the table? So the fabric part of it, I think, will be fine. I think it would more be, do they even sell wooden trivets that are just that thin? Maybe if you can find little thicker ones that won't get warped as easily, maybe with the heat of whatever you're putting on top of it, I think that might work a little bit better. But you can see, I mean, it still has to dry because I can kind of see some of the wood still showing through there. But can you see the edge, how crisp it is? There are no threads. No little threads from that fabric are sticking out, okay? So what I would probably do is let this guy dry a little bit more. I mean, it's pretty dry to the touch, but you want to let it says to like let it sit for 24 hours. So I just wouldn't use it between 24, you know, before 24 hours, but I can definitely handle it and everything. It's dry enough for that. I probably would go in and do another coat just to help go all around the edge. If you do decide to do that, you got to be super careful because now you don't have any extra that you can get rid of. So if you have a big chunk of it, right, that you're smoothing out to the edge, if you leave a big glob of it right on the edge, it's going to dry there. So that's why I recommend doing how I showed you. Put the fabric on it like this, a little bit bigger. Put the product on top, whether it's the Odie coat or the Mod Podge, and go beyond the edge on the fabric itself so that when you do cut it, then you don't really have to go back and do anything to it. Okay? So those are kind of what I've learned from doing a bunch of them is to do that. Now, let me see if I can wipe some of this, the thicker bits off. I just don't want to run my scissors through the thicker bits. Oh, but it's kind of beyond the edge of the coaster anyway, so I think I'll be fine here. Vicky's asking, could you use a small rotary cutter to cut the excess fabric? So you know what, Vicky, I'm going to try it, but I'll tell you what, round on round sometimes can be a little bit tricky. So let's go ahead and grab. I have the smallest rotary cutter I own here is an 28 millimeter. Oh, I don't have my 18, but the 18, the blade is kind of fine and thin. It's more like for really tiny paper stuff is really what I use it for, I think, mostly. The 28 millimeter, I'm going to flip this guy over. And so this is the part that with the rotary cutter, because now we're cutting in the round, you need to have it sideways. It's going to be really easy for you to jump up and hit the wood. Another thing is that this knob that sticks out here is in the way and is not going to allow me to get the blade close to the edge because I need to go like this sideways in order to get the blade and not this black knob. So really, I would say no. I would avoid it because you're not really going to be able to get a good enough clean edge because of this thick chunk that's sticking out. So we're going to leave that there. I'm going to go through with my scissors again. I'm just tugging on it to see, make sure everything is stuck around the edge. And then we're just going to cut super close. And again, just don't cut into the wood. If you feel any resistance, chances are you're about to cut the wood or you are cutting it already. Okay, so be careful with that. I did so many of these last week already. I could probably do this with my eyes closed. Okay, and then I'm going to go through here. And I can really get close with these scissors. I mean, they're Kai scissors, but any little bit. And that's it. And that's the one with the Mod Podge. This one feels a little bit more textured to the touch, whereas the Odie coat feels a lot smoother. So that's something else. But will they both be sealed and water resistant and stain, or waterproof and stain resistant? Yeah. You know, the products themselves are about the same. I mean, in terms of what the end result is. But working with them is slightly different, as you saw. As well as the drying time, as well as how much you need to finish on here. Aren't these cute for like a math teacher, a physics teacher? Super fun. What a cute fabric. For engineer friend, you know. I had people last year that's who was buying up the fabric when we had this math print. Yeah, I'm super happy with it. And then after, you know, it dries up and everything, you're ready. The rounds, these 4-inch diameter wooden rounds are, I said I posted the Amazon affiliate link for them where I got them, the exact same seller that I use, that they're all super, like they're sanded and they feel really good. It's so easy to use them. And I think that really helps too to get the product to, you know, to spread whichever product on easily, okay? So you just put the 4 little sticker legs on there, boom, boom, and it just helps grip. It also said in the description something about these are like absorbent or something. I don't know why you would be putting it on anything wet, but whatever. So 4 on there, that one's done. Same thing, you would do 4 on the other guy. And these little legs, these little sticker legs come with the rounds. And I think 32 came in there. So you could do 8 different sets of 4, right? And another thing that I noticed, beyond me saying that they're all smooth and everything, they're all really flat. That's what I said. So they don't rock on the table, okay? So really good. And there we have 2 fabric coasters. So that's my preferred technique is coat it on top, put your fabric, smooth it down. Coat it on top, still leaving the excess, and once it dries, trim away. I think that's going to give you the best finish around the edges so that you don't have any thread sticking out and you don't run the risk of like smearing down and kind of fraying the fabric around the edges. You see how good that looks? And I can tell that this is the Mod Podge. Like I said, it has more of a textured feel to it, whereas the Odie coat feels almost more waxy. It feels like a waxed, you know, waxed canvas or like a waxed cotton fabric if you've ever touched that or worked with that before in your sewing projects. This just feels more textured. But, you know, same thing. It's a glue, it's a sealer, it's a finish. Whatever your budget allows, whatever you have. You can definitely make your own wooden coasters to gift or sell. So, yes. So KR461 says similar to decoupage. That's what it says. It says decoupage on the bottle of the Mod Podge. And this I said I got at the Dollar Tree. For those of you that maybe are tuning in, these little 2-ounce bottles were just $1.25. My bad. $1.25 each. Okay. And then the Odie coat is more expensive, but you also get almost 9 ounces in here, and it lasts a good long bit. It's washable and acid free as well. Okay. Janice is asking if I posted what the students made. Yeah, so I posted a little reel video last Thursday, Janice. If you want to check that out on Facebook or on, I think it was on Facebook, is where I posted it. I teach a monthly arts and crafts class for seniors, citizens in my town. And so this is the project that we did for July. We did this last Thursday, and everybody picked fabrics. They picked really cute ones. Some people did like more neutral, you know, so they can use it anywhere with their decor, like blacks and whites. Here's another tip: if you have a lot of leftover 5-inch charm squares, like 5-inch by 5-inch square pieces of fabric, they're a little bit bigger than you need, but it still works, right? You would just be trimming away the excess, and you could use the majority of it, and that way you can maybe make a rainbow colored full set, you know, of the coasters. You could do so much with your fabric scraps. So definitely check it out, try it out, and let me know what you think when you make some little projects like these. Okay? Let's see. Let's see. Susan says, Vanessa, now try putting a sweating glass on it and see if when you pick up, oh, you're saying like a glass that like is already like the condensation is around it sweating. The coaster sticks on. I had that happen with some tile coasters I bought, she says. They would stick to the bottom of it, of the glass, and then they would fall on the floor and break. Oh no, that's horrible. Luckily, these are wood. So if that does happen, I've been using mine. I haven't used it on glass. I just put some other water bottles and other cups and stuff that I was using on it. Luckily, if these fall, they're not going to break. But I haven't had that happen with these on mine yet. If you do, let us know. You know, we're always experimenting and trying new things around here. So definitely keep us posted. Okay? All right. Dorothy says, now you need to design a coaster holder. I'm just going to replace these with the metal one that we have out there from some other coasters that came on a set. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in this week. I hope you picked up some tips. And if you're in the Organizer Club, check out your classes. Make sure you download your calendar so you know what's coming next. What else? We talked about the tutorial that's going up live tomorrow on my YouTube channel. This is going to be a freebie tutorial for my sew line zipper sew line. Wow. My slimline zipper pouch, like pencil pouch here, is the one that's going to go live tomorrow. Here it is. And so definitely a great another scrap busting project that you can do. Back to school gifts. Let's see what else. What did we talk about? We talked about signing up for my email newsletter and subscribing for my YouTube channel for sure. And I think that's it. Next week, we'll be back with some other fun stuff. I think I'm going to be doing an unboxing next week and a demo, so we'll see if we get to that. But thank you, everybody, for your questions. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, and I hope you find some time to do a little bit of crafting this week. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and I will see y'all next week. Bye, everybody.